Hello everyone. Today let's discuss about Mitakshara and Dayabhaga, the two schools of Hindu law. First and foremost, I'll go forward with the introduction. Then I'll discuss Mitakshara, then Dayabhaga. Then I'll differentiate between Mitakshara and Dayabhaga. Then I'll be concluding my lecture. Law was always considered to be supreme and above the king himself, and law was of a divine origin. The various sources of Hindu law are Smritis, Shrutis, commentaries, digests, custom, justice, equity and good conscience, judicial decisions and legislations. One of the sources of Hindu law are Smritis. There are various kinds of Smriti: Manu Smriti, Yagnavaikalya Smriti, Narada Smriti and Parashara Smriti. Mitakshara and Dayabhaga are commentaries on Yagnavaikalya Smriti. Before we head into Mitakshara and Dayabhaga, let us distinguish between joint family property as well as coparcenary property. Let us imagine a family where Dinesh is the grandfather and Raj is his son, Arjun is his grandson, Kabir is his great grandson, and Dinesh has a wife Lata and Raj also has a wife Sita. Let us suppose Dinesh inherited 20 acres of farmland from his own father. That becomes an ancestral property which automatically culminates into a joint family property. Now we'll come to coparcenary property. Within the big joint family, there is a small group with ownership by birth. That is nothing but coparcenary. Here the co-parceners are Dinesh, who belongs to the first generation, Raj, who belongs to the second generation, and Arjun, who belongs to the third generation, and Kabir, who belongs to the fourth generation. They together form a co-parcenary. Under co-parcenary, only male lineage will be considered. It is a very narrower concept under the concept of joint family itself. Imagine a huge banyan tree. Its roots are the ancestors, its trunk is the father, and every new branch that grows is a son or a daughter born into that family. But here's the twist: no single person owns the tree, the entire tree owns itself. That is what the Mitakshara School of Hindu law is all about: ownership by birth and shared responsibility through generations. Let us look into the features of Mitakshara School. Mitakshara was a commentary written by Vignaneshwara on Yagnavaikalya Smriti. Vignaneshwara doesn't imply that it was only one person who wrote it, but a group of people who wrote it. Mitakshara is followed in the rest of India except Bengal and Assam. Under Mitakshara, the law of succession arose from birth itself. The joint family could not be alienated by the father or the sons. The law of inheritance was that it was based on blood relationship, and the share of each co-partner was not defined. And here, the rule of succession was survivorship, meaning that the property would not devolve upon the heirs but to the co-parceners. I explained you what coparcenary is all about. So if the family consists of father, then mother, then children, the two sons, then the property will go to the sons but not to the mother because she is not a co-parcener. So this is what the rule of survivorship is all about. A woman could not be considered to be a co-parcener under the Mitakshara school. There are various sub-schools under the Mitakshara. The first one is Dravida school. Here they also took in Smriti Chandrika as the source of Hindu law along with Mitakshara. So here I am recollecting a case. It was related to doctrine of lapse. So this was a doctrine that was imposed by the British upon the kingdoms, saying that if they did not have biological heirs, that part of the land would belong to the British. So here a similar matter was raised. The kingdom did not have biological heirs, but they wanted to keep a adopted child in that place. So the point was, would such a practice be allowed under the Hindu law? So a lot of evidence were laid and proofs were formulated before the court, stating that the custom was very much prevalent in the Dravida school, where the adopted children were given rights equal to the biological children. Next is Maharashtra school. Here, Vyavahara Mayuka is also taken as the other source of law. And then comes Banaras school. Here, Viramitrodaya by Mitra Mishra was also taken into consideration along with Mitakshara. And Mithila school. Here, Vivada Chintamani by Vachaspati Mishra was taken into consideration along with Mitakshara, and in Punjab school it was Viramitrodaya by Mitra Mishra along with Mitakshara, which categorized the sub-school. Let me tell you here, the various sub-schools did take Mitakshara as the ultimate authority, but they came up with their own commentaries like the Smriti Chandrika, Vyavahara Mayuka, Viramitrodaya, and Vivada Chintamani, etc. Imagine a large family in Bengal in the early 12th century. The father is alive and owns a lot of property, but his sons have no automatic share in it while he lives. Only after his death do the sons inherit what he leaves behind. This idea forms the heart of Dayabhaga School, propounded by Jimut Vahana in his famous treatise Dayabhaga, literally meaning division of inheritance. Dayabhaga is basically a school followed in Bengal and Assam. Here, the law of succession arose after Pinda offering and not through birth as propounded by the Mitakshara school. And the share of each person in the family is defined and definite. But under the Mitakshara school, the share of each co-partner keeps on changing. One of the significant feature of Dayabhaga school was that a widow could go forward and get the property in her name provided she did not have sons or the co-partners. I have explained about coparcenary, so please do recollect it. Think of Mitakshara as a joint wallet system where everyone gets a share from birth, and Dayabhaga as a single wallet system. Only after the father's wallet closes, others inherit from it. Now let us look into the differences between Mitakshara and Dayabhaga. When we take inheritance rights into consideration, under Mitakshara, sons acquire interest by birth. But under Dayabhaga, the sons acquire interest only after the Pinda offering as well as death of the last owner of the property, who is nothing but the father. When we take Coparcenary system, Mitakshara states that coparcenary can exist by birth itself. In 2005, women became equal coparceners. When we take Dayabhaga, there was no coparcenary during the father's lifetime. Mitakshara stated that partition of a property could happen during the lifetime of the father, and under Dayabhaga it could happen only after the death of the father. Mitakshara is followed in North, West and South India, but Dayabhaga is followed only in Bengal and Assam. Under Mitakshara, they take unobstructed heritage into consideration, which is nothing but apratibandha daya. Let us suppose that there is a person by name A. Okay. So A has two sons, M and N. A has inherited property from his father. So here M and N get a right from the birth itself. So this is nothing but unobstructed heritage. Under Dayabhaga, it is obstructed heritage. Let us suppose Mr. A has a self-acquired property and he has two sons, M and N. Here, the property will devolve upon these two only after the death of Mr. A and not before that itself. So that is nothing but obstructed heritage, which is nothing but sapratibandha daya. If we take nature of property into consideration, under Mitakshara, the property will be considered to be ancestral, and this ancestral property cannot be alienated by way of a will or a gift deed or testamentary succession. But under Dayabhaga, since every person's share is defined, he could effect partition or as well as go forward and execute a will provided the last owner of property died. There is more testamentary freedom under Dayabhaga compared to Mitakshara. When we take female rights into consideration, Mitakshara did not recognize the rights of daughters as co-parceners. But after the 2005 amendment to Hindu Succession Act, women became co-parceners, meaning the daughters were co-parceners along with sons. Under Dayabhaga, daughters could inherit the property provided there was no mother as well as brothers and no other agnates. If we take tenancy type, under Mitakshara it is joint tenancy. Let us suppose that there are three brothers A, B and C. So these people hold joint tenancy. If A dies, then the tenancy will devolve through right of survivorship, meaning the other two tenants will get right over the property. But under Dayabhaga, it is tenancy in common. Here, in the same example, if we take A has died, so A has heirs, M and N. So M and N are entitled to get tenancy and not just the joint tenants. So this is nothing but tenancy in common. If we take rights of widow into consideration, under Mitakshara, widow did not receive any share by survivorship. But under Dayabhaga, widows could inherit in the absence of son. There was something called as limited estate concept. Here, the woman could inherit the property, but she could not alienate the property. Thus, I would like to conclude by stating that Mitakshara and Dayabhaga are the two schools of Hindu law. We have looked into the differences in coparcenary as well as differences in succession as well. So, under Mitakshara, the rule of succession emerges from the birth itself. But under Dayabhaga, the rule of succession arises as soon as the death of the last owner of the property as well as offering of pindas. If we take Mitakshara into consideration, it takes apratibandha into consideration. But if we take Dayabhaga, they take sapratibandha daya into consideration. So thank you for listening to my lecture on Mitakshara and Dayabhaga, two of the schools of Hindu law. If you have any doubts in the lecture, please let me know in the comments.